Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this past week has been filled with news about everything from a new MacBook to an Apple Watch and more, and this is your news update for the week of May 23rd, 2021. And the first thing has to do with Beats Studio Buds. Now those were leaked in iOS 14.6 code where they actually had some new icons that show kind of what they look like, and now they're showing up in the FCC database. And generally when that happens, we're very close to a launch. For example, when you have Powerbeats Pro like these or any other headphones coming out, they have to pass FCC regulation, they'll show up in the database, and then they'll generally release to the public fairly soon after that. So it looks like those could be coming very soon since we already have support for it in iOS 14.6. So we haven't heard any more than that about them, but they should be coming very soon. Now, Apple's new lossless audio that they showed, this very image where you would have down in the bottom where it says Apple Digital Master, lossless, and Dolby Atmos and things like that, that will be coming very soon in early June. However, the support for it is not exactly great when it comes to lossless. For example, I talked about how AirPods Pro and AirPods Max won't support it over wireless, and that has to do with the limitation of Bluetooth itself. Bluetooth just can't carry that amount of bandwidth in its current form. However, some people have been saying, well, what if I use the Lightning to 3.5 millimeter headphone adapter with AirPods Max, for example? And that still will not work. You'll actually be able to get higher quality audio if you plug in, but not full lossless, according to Apple, due to the limitations of the cable and the DAC that's inside of it, the digital to analog converter. So you will be able to get higher quality audio. Now, people are not complaining that AirPods Max are bad by any means. Of course, with $550 headphones, you want the highest quality audio, but nobody complained before and no one expected it. So to get a little bit better audio with maybe a future update or something like that would be very welcome. However, I would really like to see lossless audio as well, given that they cost so much. So unfortunately, based off a recent Apple support document, we won't have the highest quality audio on their best headphones. So maybe they'll release an updated version, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, we've heard a lot about the upcoming iPhone 13, and there's even more news about it. Now, we're not expecting any huge design change or anything like that. We are expecting a little bit different cameras, improved a little bit with maybe a thicker chassis overall to support a larger battery and a bigger camera bump for those improvements, and a 120 Hz ProMotion display. However, the Qualcomm modem is said to improve as well, since Qualcomm is now releasing their new X65 model. It has better millimeter wave coverage. Currently in the United States, it's pretty limited to, say, Verizon and AT&T, but they're said to have better or wider millimeter wave coverage with a 200 megahertz band, as well as standalone mode. So it's a new power saving technology and will help for better battery life as well. So all of these things will be coming out with a technical limit of 10 gigabits per second as far as the speed. Of course, currently with millimeter wave, you kind of have to be in the correct position in the right area within a city that has it to get super high speeds, and you can't move too much. However, maybe we'll see that change with different bandwidth in the future. Now, iOS 15 is going to be shown on June 7th. I've talked about that for quite some time, but Apple confirmed it on Monday, where they're going to have their conference with their keynote at 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern on June 7th. They updated their website with this, sent out invites, and it's ready to go. So we should see iOS 15 with all sorts of new features, and there's some new features that we hadn't heard of before that should be in it as well. And so you can watch this not only on Apple's website, but you probably can watch it on YouTube and other places as well, where you normally can, so you can watch it live at that same time along with everyone else that's going to be watching it. But iOS 15 is said to have new notifications. I've talked about that before, where they're going to redesign the notification shade. Also, they're going to redesign messaging a little bit, maybe add some features, it said, as well as some changes to dark mode. This is the new news about it. Dark mode should have some changes. What that means specifically is hard to say, along with an updated control center. And also a new thing that someone recently leaked is that it's going to have sort of a food tracking feature within the Health app. So if we go to Health here, find Health. If you go into Health, we can track all sorts of things, such as blood oxygen and sleep and steps. Next, we'll be able to track food intake, it seems like. So this seems like an obvious step in the right direction with the Health app, and maybe they'll have more as far as that goes. Many people want to redesign, and we should get that with iPadOS 15, so we should see all of those things pretty soon in just under a couple weeks at this point, so I can't wait to see what they have. Now, as far as iOS 14.7 Beta 2 and when to expect that, well, the first beta came out last Friday as a bit of a surprise. So it came out on the 21st, along with the launch of the new Apple TV, the iPad Pro, the iMac, and that was a bit of a surprise. We had that alongside iOS 14.6, which launched this week as well, and so we had double betas at this point. We'll see that all the way until September with iOS 15, of course, and iOS 14 betas. But iOS 14.7 Beta 2, Apple generally waits a week between betas, if not 2 weeks between betas. So we could see it very soon as, well, supposedly today or tomorrow, it depends, or maybe even the next week. We could see it on the 4th, for example. However, we just don't know, as Apple has not said. However, they did show off some new features coming soon with Apple Accessibility, and those are a pretty big deal for those that have maybe motor skill issues or maybe can't touch their device or even just need to use sign language to communicate. So let's take a look at some of those. Now, Apple detailed some new updates with accessibility, like I said, and the first one is Sign Time. Sign Time allows people to communicate visually using sign language, and this should help a lot. Whether you need an online session or in person, for example, there's Sign Time. There's also updates to Assistive Touch for Apple Watch, where you can go through menus just by squeezing your hand and moving your wrist up and down and around. This is pretty impressive. If you haven't watched this video, I'll link this in the description, but it explains how this all works. As well as eye tracking support for iPad with third-party accessories, so maybe you're unable to touch the iPad, you can use your eyes. And exploring images with VoiceOver is going to get more information. So basically you could do this before, but now it will give you the position of someone's face, for example, in the picture. So it will give more information about that. There's also better support for hearing aids and audiogram support, as well as background sounds. Maybe you just need something in the background ambiently. It's too quiet in the room you're in. You want to study, something along those lines. You'll have the option for that. It'll help you focus and stay calm or rest. This seems to go along with what we're going to see with health in iOS 15, but this makes me think iOS 15 is going to be a huge announcement since Apple is announcing these ahead of time. So these could be coming to 14.7 as well, or maybe they won't be coming until iOS 15, but they will be coming at a later date. Sign Time, though, launched on May 20th. So all of those were shown off, and I think that's pretty great for those that need the extra little help when navigating through their different devices. It's great to see Apple continue to really support accessibility throughout all their devices. Now, the big news over the past couple of days has to do with Mac. The first thing has to do with a new high-end Mac Mini, according to Jon Prosser. It would look like this, have sort of a thinner design, maybe have 4 ports as far as Thunderbolt is concerned, since we only get 2 on the current M1 lineup, as well as 2 USB-A ports, Ethernet, and HDMI. And it's also said to have the new magnetic power connector that we see with the iMac. Also, it could have plexiglass on top, which this is kind of something I hadn't really expected, but if they're trying to go for maybe a G4 Cube look when it comes to the Mac, maybe that's what they're going for. So a different design we haven't seen before. Now, the next generation MacBook Pro is said to launch or be announced at WWDC, according to Jon Prosser. There will be a 14 and a 16-inch model, and again, it will have all the ports we've said before with HDMI, Thunderbolt, an SD card slot, which would be really welcome, and a new MagSafe connector. Some reports from others are saying there won't be a MagSafe connector. And to go inside those new chips, according to 9to5Mac, a reliable source, according to them, said the upcoming pro-level Apple Silicon is called M1X. Some people have said it's not called M1X. Mark Gurman has said it's a completely different architecture and will have a new name. So I'm not sure who's going to be right there, but there will be a new architecture with a much more powerful chip, up to 10 cores, for example. It would support more Thunderbolt channels, as well as new CPU cores, or more CPU cores, and GPU cores. We haven't seen yet what Apple has in store for an updated GPU that we have in the Pro-level Macs. We're also still waiting for a larger iMac, but a faster 10-core processor, for example, would be incredible. Also support for more RAM. Right now, 16 gigabytes is the limit. It would be great to get 32 for heavy video editing and things like that. So we'll have to wait and see what Apple has in store, but I can't wait to see what the new Pro-level Macs are, since Apple has shown us the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 that I have here. It's incredibly fast, along with all the new iMacs and the Mac Mini, for example, and MacBook Air. What they could do on the Pro level is going to be incredible. Now, the final thing has to do with an Apple Watch. Jon Prosser again has leaked a new Apple Watch that will have more of a squared off edge as far as the overall design. It would be more flattened to match that of the new iPhones and the new design of the iMac, and it makes sense that Apple's going in this direction and would update their Apple Watch to match. However, according to the design, it looks like your current watch bands would work with it, and so that would be a great thing to see, have consistency with all the different watch bands, and of course just a little refresh. I know a lot of people want a rounded design, but it seems at this point that that's not going to be the next Apple Watch. He didn't say anything about sensors or what could be in it though. So that's it for everything over this past week. That's a lot of information. There's going to be a lot more coming out very soon with iOS 14.7, iOS 15, and whatever those new Macs are. We haven't seen what Apple has for the new Mac lineup, so I really can't wait to see what they have there. Now, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.